Just because I don't have kids doesn't mean I don't want them. But first, I'm going to educate myself first on any type of topic. Like, I'm going to put myself first because for me to be the best self, I'm not going to put a kid in a position where I'm not educated enough. I'm not able to provide.
With the mindset that you currently have, is that's the reason why you're single with no kids?
No, no.
How isn't it? You prioritize your career, your education.
Your husband or boyfriend is at work. You're at home. That is your
exactly. That's where society.
That is your all the kids. All the kids are at school. You are at home by yourself. You have 8 hours to yourself.
Are you crying?
Right. So hold on, Cooley. Hold on.
He says, question, what advice would you give modern women? A, prioritize family. B, prioritize education. Good question. Let's start with
Bree, right here.
You want to do this? Let's start with Bree. All right. So question, what advice would you give women in today's age, modern women? It's just two scenarios. Would you tell them to prioritize family or prioritize education?
Family.
All right. Tara, what about you?
Education.
All right. And why?
She heated.
Did you ask her why?
Yeah, let us know the answer first.
I think he asked why because you were the opposite, I think, of the general consensus.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Let everybody answer and then come back.
All right, we'll come back to you.
Right?
What about you?
Oh, wait, what was it? Family.
Okay, family.
Family.
Yeah, you're the only one. Why? Why education, Tara?
I want to know.
Because just because I don't have kids doesn't mean I don't want them. But first, I'm going to educate myself first on any type of topic. Like, I'm going to put myself first because for me to be the best self, I'm not going to put a kid in a position where I'm not educated enough. I'm not able to provide. I can't do whatever to provide for the kid. Our society just labels women as, okay, you stay home, you do this, you do that, you do this for the men. Like, that's your duty, that's your job. But no, we're positioned, we're growing as a society to not be like that. Women need to stick up for themselves. They need to educate themselves on all types of things. Yeah, we can have kids, we can still have family, but educate yourself first. Go for an education first.
This is a big reason why the world has been infiltrated, and this is the narrative that's been spreading amongst all the young women out there, is to prioritize education, to become a better consumer, to participate in capitalism. That's all it's going to do. You just going to insert yourself in a program that's going to run you into the ground. This is crazy.
Provide for yourself first. Why do you have to depend on a man?
Hell,
do you think that
Okay.
with the mindset that you currently have, is that's the reason why you're single with no kids?
No. No.
How isn't it? You prioritize your career, your education.
I also had other life situations that put me in a position to not prioritize that first. I put others before me, before I put myself first.
Do you know
I'm
that
not gonna
women
put myself,
don't have to work? Generally speaking, if you, I mean, nowadays.
Yes, in the times we live in, women are definitely going to have to work simultaneously as their man. But whatever happened to y'all working together for something, building towards something, because nothing is handed or given to you. You probably most likely won't be working as hard as your guy. Y'all can simultaneously help each other out with whatever your dynamic is going to be set up in your household. It's going to be yours to follow. But it just needs to make sense for you and your husband.
Yeah,
it does
nowadays,
take two incomes for a household. But what I'm saying is you really don't need to chase a career in education, because if you're chasing education, you're incurring debt. So you're putting yourself in financial debt. Generally speaking, most women do. That's just what happens, right?
Yeah, because
but if
they're
you
not
didn't know,
educated enough to look for other areas of where they don't have to pay for things. You can get scholarships.
Yeah, of course, you can definitely get some.
Qualifies for scholarships.
You could definitely get some scholarships, but she's saying that she doesn't have debt, so that's good. That's good for you. But simply saying, if you are going to advise modern women not to prioritize family and to prioritize education, what's going to happen is this:
to have a family.
But in vitro and all of that, that's very expensive, and it's also it's not that. It's not that what's the word? It tends to be very problematic.
Okay. Yeah, when you really think about it, I think we done made too many ways out for women to kind of, hit the escape button. If you look at abortion, you look at the in vitro, pushing the clock back, I can fertilize, or freeze the eggs and all that stuff. Everything is meant to push things back so y'all can jump in and act like guys. I mean, it's easy to see it, what's going on. Being promiscuous, having a whole bunch of sex, living life exactly how, quote unquote, men do, which we actually don't. That's a small percentage of guys that women actually even see move like that. Most men live a very simple, boring, invisible life. So it's kind of sad that a lot of them are getting duped with the narratives of the modern world.
But here's my question for you, though, right? Quick question.
Yeah.
If it's the case that women are, from your worldview, is to prioritize their education and not family, under a society like that, how can you maintain your current population level? Because what would happen is if they're prioritizing their education first, then they're waiting to have children in their later years, which then it decreases the amount of children that they can have. This is why currently in today in modernity, right, we are below replacement level for our population. It's supposed to be 2.7 babies per woman, but currently we're at 1.6 babies per woman, which is why we got the border still open and we letting in immigrants, right? Even though Trump is trying to get a hold of things.
I'm not going to go on that type of level because that's way too political, and that this is not a platform for relationships and dating to be in that type of political scene.
No, I was just making a statement. You don't have to reply back on.
I'm not going any further on this.
I'm simply saying this, though. I'm simply saying that if you are going to, because the question was, what would you advise women to do? You said that you would advise them to prioritize your education, which means that they're going to have children. If they are going to have children, it's going to be in their later years.
There's also
so then they can't. No, listen. So then they can't have enough children.
Allow for women to have more successful.
What science?
Hold on.
There is fertility.
Okay. Do you know that those clinics are very expensive, and also do you know that the likelihood of it happening is extremely low? It's very problematic.
Look. I think the biggest misconception is that ladies like Tara, you can still have kids first and then go to school later. Like for example, if you had a kid at 20, what age do kids go to elementary school? What, 6?
5, 6, yes. Yeah.
So like you have 8 hours to yourself to pursue online school. Hold on. Stop.
When you're older, you have all of that time to do that.
You have so much time on your hands to continue and pursue your education.
I will say this, piggybacking off what he said, that's the beauty of women at the same time. Y'all can actually do y'all career at both time periods. Especially if you're an attractive woman and you always gonna have a guy next to you or whatnot. You can do that career in the beginning or you can do it later on in the end. But that man has no choice but to make sure he does it in the beginning. That's why I think the whole prioritized family is deeper than just the man. It's going to be y'all unit and family around y'all so y'all all can work and build and help each other. Watching the kids, picking the kids up, other things like that you might have a strong family structure that can help with that, opposed to just being just you and that person and then potentially maybe just you by yourself.
For example, like I said before, if you had a kid at 20, kids start school at 5. You have 8 hours of your day to yourself 5 days a week to take online courses to pursue that psychology.
When we're the ones that are also supposed to be taking care of the family, we're supposed to be the one. This society wants.
Let me finish.
No, that's if you're a single mom.
Yeah.
If you pick the right man,
listen,
and you have a man by your side, it's two people raising the children.
In an ideal situation, if you're married or in a relationship with a guy that you're still together with, you guys have a kid at the age of 20, 5 years later, they're in school, your husband or boyfriend is at work, you're at home. That is your
Exactly, that's where society
That is your, all the kids are at school. You are at home by yourself. You have 8 hours to yourself to do whatever you want. So that means you got 8 hours to go to school, take online classes, or go school in person and take 1 or 2 classes at community college to pursue that psychology degree, nursing degree, whatever. So just because a woman prioritizes family first does not mean she cannot go to school afterwards, especially if she has kids early on. It's best to have kids, ideally, early on, because for one, it's safer. The kids will come out way more healthier. You'll be able to have way more children. So once you do that, then you'll be able to pursue school because at the age of 5, kids are already in school. Now, if you were to have kids later on, yes, there are a lot of there are a lot of women who have had kids in their later ages. But the thing is, it's very risky. Kids can come out unhealthy, have some type of disability, but
defects,
also, if you want to take IVF is very expensive. The average American, we just said, the average American makes 40 to 50K a year. Who wants to be in debt in 40, 50K a year just to try to have a kid when you can easily have one when you're young?
You was about to say something, Sarah. Go ahead.
I'm good.
He has a point on that because usually the younger that you are, you're probably going to be on some type of assisted, probably Medicaid or Medicare when you're young and don't have any money, and that pregnancy is going to get covered. But guess what? When you get older and you start making more money, you're going to possibly have to pay that type of stuff out of pocket. So, yeah, it is a catch-22 when it comes down to having it young opposed to older. Waiting, sometimes you spending even more money opposed to when you were young.
What I'm saying, it's not
simply
late.
said, if you just look at it logically, right? If one has a time clock, women, you have a biological time clock on when you can have a baby. When you're 35 years old, it's a high risk pregnancy, just like E said. It's a higher rate for the baby to have birth defects and many things like that. So if one section has a time clock, which is having a family, then you should prioritize that since it's a time clock. But as far as getting an education, bro, you can go to school and get a little education when you 35, 40, 50 if you really wanted to. You got your entire life to do that, but you do not have your entire life. Well, not entire. You have most of your life to go ahead and get an education, but you do not have most of your life to have children and a family.
My aunt got her bachelor's degrees in her 50s after she had 2 kids. You know what I'm saying? So you can still prioritize family, but just because you prioritize family doesn't mean you cannot pursue school. With the way technology is, you could do online classes and still babysit your kid if you really wanted to, depending on how determined you are. I'm not recommending to do that, but all you need is 5 years, kids in school. Now you have all that free time to yourself. You got 8 hours, 6 hours, however kids are in school for. And then once they're from home from school, that's all your time that you could have to your kids. Again, yes, you can have kids in your later years. Yes, it happens all the time, but it doesn't have to be. I understand if you don't find somebody, you're not lucky, whatever the case may be. But don't think that
exceptions don't. It simply said exceptions don't make the rule.
Yeah.
So to give advice to women about the exception. You can go ahead and still get your education and then also have family. Well, that's an exception to the rule. That generally does not happen. What generally happens is the women that chase their education and their career, they end up not having any kids, or they end up having kids at a later age where they can't produce a lot of them, or the kids come out with some type of birth defect.
It does hit different.
That's simply all we're saying.
And you guys also
let's get
do
on
not
to
understand that females also have to go through genetic testing at an older age when they are going through these treatments and trying to conceive. So
That
there is
proves-
prevention
that proves our
for
point.
that type of shit
That does
too.
prove the point.
No, that proves our
Kind
point.
of understand the whole process too of a female.
No, it proves our point. Why would you want to wait to have
When it's more
kids when you
difficult.
got to go through all of this other stuff?
Yeah.
When you're younger, the likelihood
Because there are also not just educational, I'm going to go for my
this is
education. There's
bad.
also other reasons.
Like what?
There's also people that do want to have kids that are trying to conceive and also doing education at the same time, but they still
She tweaking. I don't know what she talking about.
can't.
Are you crying?
right. So hold on, Cooley, hold on. No,
I mean, if you
hold on. Obviously, if a woman
someone give her a
has-
hug, Marianne, you right there.
Hold
Not
on.
touching
Stop. Look.
You supposed to be empathetic over here.
Look, listen.
Empathy,
we,
boy.
we understand. I
I mean,
understand.
I hate that I agree with y'all, but I agree with y'all. So
Listen,
that's why I said
listen.
that.
All right. go ahead.
Listen.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, if a woman has some kind of medical issue going on,
That's completely
she
different.
may not be able to have kids
We
at a
understand
younger
that.
age.
Yeah.
She may struggle to have kids at a younger age. That's fine. Like, we understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But so if you do have that, if you are one of those ladies where it's hard for you to have kids because you have some medical issue, we're not talking about you. You
That's
have
the
a
exception.
legit,
That's
you have
the
a legit
exception to the
excuse.
rule.
But if you're a healthy young woman who takes care of themselves and you are able to have kids at a young age, we would advise you to do so, because once you get older and you try to have kids, there's a high risk that you may not survive that pregnancy. There's a high risk that that baby may not survive that pregnancy. There's a high risk that that baby will come out unhealthy, have some kind of disability, and we don't want that. If you really think about it, we're actually looking out for y'all. We want you guys to have the safest pregnancy, because pregnancy is very dangerous and it's actually scary. You know what I'm saying? So
generally speaking, it's better for women. It's safer for women to have children when they're younger, not when they're older. That's just the statistical facts. Are there exceptions to that sometimes, where a younger girl maybe would have some type of disability going on and she can't have a baby?
Okay, a woman having a child birth defects, that can happen across the board. Because I know a lot of young women that have had children with birth defects. So it happens still, regardless whether you are younger or older. I think the biggest thing is going to be quality over quantity when it comes down to selecting and creating these families. But I'm going to get in that at the end. I think we're almost done here.
Or it's more difficult for her to have a baby at the younger age? Yeah, probably so.
Right, like my boy, him and his girl, they have a kid. And she has a medical condition where she always struggled to have kids. And she had her first kid at the age of 34. She wanted him sooner, but she had some kind of medical issue going on with herself, so she couldn't be able to have kids at an early age like she'd like. Those cases, we're not talking about those. That's understandable. We get it. But if you're healthy,
hey Dan, can you find the cloud?
You know what I'm saying? If you're healthy, Tara, that's what we're saying. We're not trying to make anybody feel bad for having kids late. We're just saying, hey, look, just be mindful.
Right, no, go down.
I will say a lot of women don't really
over in
plan
that
to have
section.
kids nowadays anyway.
Go down.
Right.
Like, most of the times it happens by accident. So I mean, shoot.
Gotta be one of those.
Any woman who looking for
It was
just
over
find
there.
you the most suitable one and
Click on
and
that one.
knock you up.
No, up above. What's that? No, not that. Never mind.
Fully crazy.
They must have took it away.
Oh, he's trying to do the emoji.
I wanted that one.
Pregnancies
All right, chat. We got Mark's sending in $10. He says, question.
Well, I think that was the walk-off part. I'll play a little bit more.
Oh no, we already read that one. We got Mr. Northumberland sending in $10. I appreciate the support.
Yeah, she left. Let's go ahead and get to the end of it. The biggest thing I really want to get on with this is going to be quality over quantity. I'm not going to be one of them ones that's sitting here saying that women should have babies right after high school, early 20s, the whole nine. I think if you happen to be with somebody and he's a great guy, a good guy, and family likes him the whole nine, I think y'all should prioritize companionship and probably being a family, especially if y'all already been having sex, opposed to just going out there and just trying to experience more and saying that you just want to chase the career only. You breaking up the relationship for the career, because the career is still going to just be a career. It's a social construct. It's man-made. You're going to be able to find another career. It's not the same thing. When it comes down to what you really going to want over time, is going to be that family. And that's still going to be man and woman side. Honestly, you still want to have a good family around you. Now, the man side is going to be a little bit different, because the man, the things that he's going to have to attain throughout life is going to require him to be somewhat nomadic. And he's going to have to learn certain skills that's going to be a lot different, opposed to a woman out there in the world who can attach themselves through more social and family situations, friends. They care about those things more. As a guy, you're going to have to create and build, And I think the earlier two people can come together and see that, okay, let's see how we can get from point A to point B, beginning of life and end of life together, that should be prioritized, because they made a great point. That whole getting a career at any time period, that shit really opened my eyes up, because you really can. Like, you don't have to be like in your 20s and say, you know what, I gotta focus and jump through the ranks. Man, you got plenty of women who can just jump into a area or place and just start working. And I hate to say this, I ain't gonna say I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. A woman's still gonna be able to get hired on faster than a lot of guys a lot of the time, just for workplace equality. Especially if it's an area that's very male dominated, they're gonna want to just go ahead and even it up and add some more women in there, just for the diversity. So you can do that at 40s, 50s. You got plenty of women jumping into these spaces in whatever career it is, and they're working and they're making money, because it's a lot different for us making money opposed to them. They see it to a means to just acquire things at the moment. We see it to like really protect our family for a lifetime. Making money for us and sending our family through time is just a big priority. That's why we handle and we think about money a lot differently than the opposite sex does. Not saying that some don't, but we usually do. We thinking about certain investments. We thinking about things that we can add in for the future, the whole nine, instead of just buy things. It's a whole lot different. So this was a great conversation. It's really sad sometimes when you see, I think it really jumps back to family when it comes down to teaching how the women being taught at an early age, even when it goes back to the body count situation. Why are you not understanding that men and women are very different? That's why I think certain conversations need to be had to where young women and men are just more understanding and aware of certain situations to possibly avoid or, understand. Of course, you can't explain everything, because when you're super young, you don't need to expose everything, because now it'll ruin just the rawness of what you're trying to get into. But I think we need to start breaking down just the key components of things that the young person should know, to where they can have some more. They can be able to mitigate more risk. They can have more discernment, better selection, red flags, things that you should avoid. That's what we got to beat into our kids' head when it comes down to the raising part. When they get in this situation, they not all beat down and hurt. But I'll make sure I have the link in the description. Y'all can watch the entirety of this podcast on the No Fugazi podcast, because the beginning of this was even crazier with some of the women's standards. Please make sure y'all watch it. Make sure y'all sub to his channel if y'all not. It was a great conversation. Make sure y'all like the video, comment below. This is your guy JayBReacts, and until next time, y'all, peace.